Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world. Is the silent assassin in the building? How you doing? How you feeling today, King?
I'm feeling absolutely amazing. Less than 2 weeks till the Natural Olympia, so I'm ready to
Yeah,
go.
yes, yes. Well, here you are, man. First of all, congratulations on your show in Arizona. You did amazing out there. Did two different categories. The very first one, which was the men's sport model, and then doing pro classic physique. So let's even talk about that. How was that show? How was everything leading up to the show itself?
So it was easy in a way of like the prep was easy, like physically. It's not something I wasn't used to. It's like I've been through the prep. It wasn't like we were going in as hard of like, you know, this is the Olympia. We're giving everything we got. It's like, hey, let's test some things out. Let's learn some things, and that's really what we were going for. Same thing like doing sports model. That was really like, hey, let's go test this out, see what we can figure out about that. Because it's like I wasn't really prepping for sports model. It's like I don't really have a lot of interest in the category. It's like an extra category, the title, the move of it, like hey, two-time pro. But I'm like, I'm built and I have desires for classic physique. So it
Yeah.
was very good. It was a learning experience. I mean, through like peak week and the protocols, we learned a lot about, for me specifically, of what certain foods I should be eating and how to like prep. So I think it was worth it. I mean, I don't really care. I wasn't really caring about the results in the first place. Yeah, I'm obviously, winner mentality. I want to go and win, but at the end of the day, my team won. Like we won as a collective.
Yes.
Bastion wins sports model. He gets to go to the Olympia now in sports model. Like that's a win for me either way. So I'm glad the way it went, and we learned what we need to learn going into the Olympia prep. So I got everything I really wanted out of that show.
Wow, no, that is beautiful. It's definitely all about learning new stuff, learning yourself, and the process too as well. If there's one thing definitely you've learned this time around that you're applying for your prep for the Olympia, what would that be?
I would say that the biggest thing is like there's a big difference between like your physical readiness and your mental readiness, because like I pushed myself so hard physically that my body couldn't handle it, and it was
Mm,
just I was just, because mentally I was just like locked in. I'm like, I can do anything. I'm invincible. I'm gonna push myself to the absolute limits. But then there are those physical limits. So it's keeping that in mind. Like, yeah, just because you can do it mentally, like, you might be really mentally strong. You've done your journal entries, and you can think you can handle it. But the body, on the other hand, like you have to have like acknowledge that there are physical limits. There's only so much your body will take before it starts to be like, hey, we're not gonna take this anymore. We're gonna go this way or go that way. So learning that to be like, hey, like listen to your body. Sometimes like, yeah, we say, you can do more and you hit more in the gym, your mind's gonna quit before your body does. But then there's also that kind of that same mindset of like, you gotta remember your body is gonna quit at some point. So
hmm
you listen to that and be like, hey, like, all right, my body's had enough. I can't push anymore. If I do, I'm gonna hurt myself or just push myself beyond where I need to physically go.
Yes, yes. No, that is absolutely a great lesson to learn. I know this prep definitely you push, like you say, you push yourself all the way to the limit, man. And it is show in your physique, in your presentation, in everything, right? So here we are getting ready to step on the stage, run it back again like we did last year, the biggest event in the world. How are you feeling about that? How is the preparation? How is the mental approach for that?
So this one is definitely a little different because this time we're stepping on the professional Olympia stage instead of amateur Olympia. So
Mhm.
kind of having that, it's very similar mentality because I'm going in, I'm like thinking about it like, well, I'm a pro. I went into last year as a pro, but there was kind of that little bit of like, well, it's the amateur Olympia. I'm going against other amateurs or, people who just won their pro card and this is a pro debut. So it was like, I almost felt like I didn't belong there. I was like, I'm meant to be on Saturday. So it's like, hey, this opening year, we're getting the experience, we're learning from this. And then really, I'm kind of taking that same thing into this year. I'm not going in like thinking like, oh, it's my second year now. So that means I get to win Mr. Olympia.
Yes.
It's a process. It's not first year, second year, third year. It's, year after year after year, you build up and then finally you break that plateau and you can win over.
Mhm.
So that same kind of mindset of like, hey, I'm going to learn a lot more about myself mentally, physically, spiritually, working with Coach Saya, like he's going to learn how to prep me for these shows better by going through this. So it's really not about like I want to win. It's more of like how much can I learn about myself? Because if I'm going into every show with the mindset of winning, then I'm missing that golden opportunity of like how much can I learn? So.
Yes. How much can you learn? I mean, you're absolutely right, man. You know, it's a process year after year. You go with the mindset of us always winning, but stepping on stage is a big win itself. You know, I mean, especially your last show in Arizona, how you push yourself through it. And it was like, okay, can you still step on stage after that? And some people don't, right? And you did. So absolutely, man. Thank you very much for that. You know, we know you're going to definitely do amazing out there. You know, rounding up the year, finishing up the year, you know, on high note. And after the Olympia, what is next for the silent assassin? Like, who are we taking out on this list after the Olympia?
So right now, for next year, I got my eyes set on Singapore, actually. So as long as everything comes to fruition, like right now, my mindset is hit that international stage, really take my talents to the next level. So
yes,
so looking for next year.
Oh, nice. That is beautiful. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. We know Singapore is excited to have you on their stage. And, you know, us as well, you know, Royal Family Team USA, we can't wait for you to go represent internationally, right? So before we leave off, you know, if there's any words of advice you have for anyone, how you started the year in Virginia to how you ending it in the pinnacle or at the pinnacle, the Natural Olympia, what would be that advice?
So I think the main thing I've really learned is like, and something I've even struggled with too, is like how much, like when you're giving it your all, because we look at some of these shows, like you can look at a lot of these shows, like they're not the pinnacle. They're not the Natural Olympia. It's not the biggest stage where everything matters. But at the same time, they do still matter. Because if I'm going in, I can just make excuses like, well, this is just some local show, or this isn't this isn't the big show. This isn't the show. Then it kind of sets me up to be like, well, if I can make excuses for this and, take shortcuts here, then who's to say I'm going to like switch back and be like, oh, well, now it's the show. So I got to, give it 100%. Like I kind of look at it like, if I'm going to go into this, I'm going to give it 100%. Kind of like having that same mindset, like learning to have that mindset, which is difficult because it is like, it's not the show. It's not the big one that matters. Learning to have that mindset, like, and transferring into life in general, like, then you turn everything into like, I'm giving 100%, like everything I can into this one thing, even if it's something simple, but having that kind of like mentality of like, no matter what, I'm not going to take a shortcut. I'm going to go through the pain. I'm going to go through the sacrifice, because then at the end, it's like, I can look back and be like, well, I gave 100%. I gave everything I had. I can be happy. Like, it's not, oh, I took that one shortcut, so now I have the question of like, well, what if I didn't take that shortcut? So yeah, it's definitely it's a hard thing to learn, but like, and I don't think you can really ever truly master it. But the more work you put into that, just the better you become overall.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. The year has been full of so many adventures, so many ups, downs, but end up being up regardless, right? And we can't wait to do the post-show interview after the Olympia with all the wins, the lessons, the celebrations, and everything that is coming ahead. So thank you for your time, King.
Thank you.